There's Wildly of Wildly Tarot and Wild Moon Medicine Collective for Women, coming to you with this last reading for the last day of February, moving into the first week of March. We have here the dark moon coming up on Wednesday, March 2nd at 5:35 p.m., I believe. Woo! Yes. Just finished my dance practice and I'm feeling really connected, really excited to see what is in store for all of us. What is the emotional and energetic read for the week? Let's see what we have here. Oof. Mm. We have here the Hanged One. So I'm going to refer you back to a podcast that I dropped last week over the weekend with Keith Silva. We investigated the Hanged One really deeply in that podcast. If you would like to really get a deep flavor and sensation, and it makes so much sense that this would be the card that we pull for this week as well. So for myself, the Hanged One, this is a card that precedes the Death card in the tarot deck. It's the space where we are actively doing the dying, right? Like death is a process. Death, official death is that moment where what was is no longer and we become something new. Whether it is literally the death of the physical animal body or the death of a belief system, the death of a relationship, the death of a project or an income producing activity, whatever the death might be, it's really just an archetypal word for ending. An ending. And the Hanged One is that period that precedes every ending. It's that space where we're sitting in transition, we're sitting in the liminality of it, and it's quite uncomfortable. We haven't yet made, perhaps, the full decisions to go into the death process. We might be grasping or holding on to things. We might be avoiding the truth of what is coming to an end. I know for myself in my earlier 20s and 30s, it was quite challenging for me to end relationships, even though I knew that our contract had come to a close and I was no longer receiving what I wanted or needed from the relationship. And the truth is, if I wasn't receiving what I wanted and needed, that means the other person wasn't either, right? We're all these beautiful reflections of one another. And there is no such thing as forever. Hollywood has sold us this really glorious, sparkly package of the forever love story or the forever career that just takes you through your entire life. And that's just not the reality that we live in at this time. Maybe it never was. Things end. Things end. And we have here in the Hanged One an opportunity to plant the seeds for not only a good ending, but also for what's going to be at the other end of that rebirth canal when we get through to the other side. Because death is uncomfortable. It can be painful, it can be awkward, it can be messy. There are feelings involved, things have to be digested. So we're in that space. We're in that space collectively, coming to a close on the way things were and moving into the next phase. But we're still in this pause. What's the right way? What's the wrong way? I don't know. What are we supposed to do? So how is this showing up in your life? I'm so curious. Please let me know. How is this essence, this quality of being in the sacred pause showing up in your life at this time? What I'm really drawn to with this figure is the halo here and how much wisdom can be garnered from sitting in the discomfort of an ending rather than numbing or trying to fade it or fix it or pretend that it's not happening in the first place. If I could go back to that earlier version of myself and whisper that truth into her ears, I would have created several happy or at least calm and good endings instead of the volatile ones that my previous version was quite famous for. So, taking that wisdom in, what in your life is ready to die? And how are you working with that energy? Are you able to claim it? Are you able to hold it and look it in the eye and say, "Ooh, yeah, that piece of my life is no longer viable. It's no longer present for me. I'm ready to let that go." And how do you do that? How do you make that a good ending? How do you support yourself in that practice? And then planting the seeds of manifestation for what's going to be waiting for you on the other side. It's such a different way of moving through life when we step into this frequency of rebirthing, because it means there's no heaviness in an ending. There might be big feelings, there might be a lot to digest, but it's not inherently bad or wrong. It's just simply a transition, a transformation. And that is what I do. That is my work. I am a transformationalist. So if you find yourself really in the throes of this at this particular time as we move into spring, I invite you to reach out, schedule a session, let me know. My books are open. I have space beginning in mid-March moving forward, and I would absolutely love to share time with you and support you in seeing the patterns that have gotten you to the place where you are in this now moment, and to see where you're moving forward to in your next rebirthing. I hope that that message serves you. Take good care of yourselves. I hope that you have everything that you need, and I will tune in with you again next Moonday.